Hello dear EVE Online community. In this video I want to tell you about myself, my reasons for getting into CSM and the ideas that I have. During this, for you not to get bored, a series of my ordinary battles will be played in the background. One of the main concerns that many were interested in is my English language. Yes guys, I can speak English, but I don't have enough practice and all my friends speak Russian. In addition, my English is very poor. Because of this, one place where I can practice my English is EVE Online. I can easily give you some advice on the game, share a feed or command a fleet, but when it comes to difficult things like interview, I have problems. Therefore, I asked my friend CCP Alpha to help me with the interview. I had only 10 minutes and I couldn't beautifully present my thoughts in English. Don't worry about it, in a cold atmosphere, English is much easier for me. As CCP Dopamine said, during interview we can easily use the translators that have entered our lives, and CCP Alpha can help me with some problems. Ultimately, we communicate in the language of EVE Online. Its understanding and experience are much more important than the language barrier. Now we can start. I started playing in 2011. The first thing I love about this game is that we can play smartly. I got my first Omega by selling Wormhole, while other players salvage wrecks on missions. I won my first PvP fight as I studied the mechanic of tracking. Then I realized that I was finally able to find a game where I didn't need to farm equipment for several years to catch up with the old players. I can play here and now, and it's a lot of fun. EVE Online is a game where new players, because of their imagination, can compete with players who started playing 5-10 years ago. We have a lot of simple and accessible PvE in the game. There are scanning, expeditions, cosmic anomalies, abyssal space, but we don't have simple and accessible PvP. By accessible PvP, I mean PvP which you can find if you have a couple of hours to play after work. Of course, we have filaments to nullsec space, but PvP in nullsec space is difficult for ordinary players, because most often you need to fight 1 against 5 players or more. Why should players fly alone or in a small fleet? I don't want to force you do this. I just want everyone to have a chance to try it. We came to this game alone or in a small group of friends. We were not part of big alliances. I want more PvP for players who play solo or in a small groups, for people who want to chill in this game. But right now we have two ways for good PvP content in EVE Online. They are big alliances, war and CTA. Or you need to play really good, for example, being able to fight solo against big groups of players. A good example would be faction warfare. CCP need to rework this content. For a long time, these plays were perfect. You could fly alone or join random fleets. You could enter the game and immediately become a part of some event. But now, in our reality, this content is dead. Do you know what the everyday life of a player who fight in this space on the side of Caldari is? I need to warp to Beacon and wait 20 minutes. Sometimes spawn NPC who do nothing and I need to kill it. This is real content in 2021 in an online game. You need to wait and do nothing, but we want to play the game actively. I really hope that we will find a group of players who are strong in solo, small scale and mid-size PvP, and together with CCP we will change faction warfare. I hope this content will become a starting point for many newbies and people who like to chill content into the fun world of PvP. I would like to see more random fleet content that allows player to team up. For example, sites which you can close in small fleets, and where you can fight versus enemies fleets. We need Fleet Finder, where ordinary players can pick a role and join fleet, and people who want to try to BFC can create fleets. We can create instructions that will allow beginners to understand which ships deal damage and which are logistics, and get training lists of necessary skills. This will allow many players on simple ships to have fun and understand the game. My ideas don't end here. I want more content in low-sec space for small and mid-sized groups. Most of battles in EVE Online are around timers on structures. If you are Alliance B and you want to fight with Alliance A, you need to reinforce structure and then wait for timer. Alliance B has time to call friends. Alliance A understand it and summon Alliance C. When structure exit reinforce, we have a fight of 100 people with 200 people. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but all fights look like this. We need more fast content outside the null-sec space, of course, because it's serious climb space with serious business. Low-sec space is like desert. Great place for change. I want triggers in low-sec space for small and mid-size fleets. Random events that we need to contest here and now, and we don't have time to form friends or big fleets. New groups will be formed around such events, and then they will enter the big arena, like alliances who started to play in faction warfare space. So few people live in low-sec space, not because the space is bad, but because there are nothing to do there. When CCP adds events in low-sec space, we see it come to life, it's awesome, but we want something more permanent. My next point is unique space. CCP created space for solo, small scale and mid-size PvP players. They are Terra, Drifter wormholes and Pochven. Terra is a unique system because it's wormhole with stations and statics to null, low and high sec space. Great place for small collectives 3 or 4 years ago. Drifter wormholes are space that we use like Terra, because we have so many random wormholes in this space to K-space. Unique space for players who wanted to play smart and get many fights in null-sec space. In addition, Drifter wormholes have interesting and beautiful expedition, where you can get nothing. But someone created this place. One of the CCP team created this awesome place. Do you remember how a big green star exploded? Do you remember how the drifters came to our world? What have the big events left us? Nothing. We have drifter wormholes that no one uses, and Terra. I explored their place because I enjoy playing the game. These systems are incredibly beautiful and interesting, as I spent so much time because I was interested. I have the few ideas that will breathe new life into this space. Perhaps then more people will visit these wormholes. One of the ideas is filaments. I like solo and small scale PvP. I undock every day and I don't like this mechanic. I think CCP understand that the PvP community is suffering, and players in null-sec space find more and more opportunities to never lose their ships. Filaments are simple and good idea, but filaments depersonalize null-sec space. 5 years ago I fly in null-sec like explorer. I visit 4 regions and it was interesting. If I wanted to know who lived in Impas and to fight them, I needed to do 20 plus dangerous jumps. Players who live in null-sec space try to live in that end of constellations, in the regions that are at very depths of the null-sec space. Such space was very valuable. Each constellation had its own geography. How does null-sec space look for PvP players now? Filament, 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 another filament and another filament. This mechanic is bad for both PvP players and players who don't want PvP. I think filaments should move you to entrance null-sec regions. For example, Pure Blind, Tribute, Providence, Curse. It will be good for solo or small scale PvP players, because we have easy way to get PvP in null-sec space, and for players who live in null-sec space and don't want PvP. After this rework, Terra and Drifter wormholes will become more relevant. I want to say a few words about Pochvin too. My team and I follow this content very closely, and we know some troubles with this content. For example, World Dark doesn't work correctly. When CCP cancelled standings for jumping in unique Pochvin, it wasn't right in relation to the community who lives in this space. There are smarter ways to solve the social problems that exist in the region. I live in this region for a very long time. I perfectly understand how it works, and I have the best ways to solve problems. Thank you very much for listening to me. First of all, I made this video for people who don't understand Russian. People who watch my streams and understand Russian know all about my ideas. We discuss them every time on my streams. I would like to become a bridge between the Russian-speaking community, CSM and CCP games. Our community has a huge number of people who play well, and I want to become their voice in CSM. Perhaps many of you think that Russian-speaking players are those who botting and farm heavens in nullsec space, but this is not the case. I look at the list of potential CSM and see so many players from nullsec space. I see it every year, and nullsec space works correct in EVE Online. It's good. We have big battles and big war. It's awesome. But we need more players who understand how to play solo and small-scale content, because it is part of this game too. Important for players who start to play EVE Online, for players who don't have a lot of time to play, for players who want to play here and now. I have enough experience to help with this. Make EVE great again. Thank you for your attention.